Book of First Samuel, chapter 21, verse 1. First Samuel 21 and 1. First Samuel, the 21st chapter and the first verse. David goes to the town of Nob. David went to visit Abimelech the priest. He lived in the town of Nob, or Ahimelech rather. Ahimelech shook with fear when he saw David. He asked, "Why are you alone? Why is nobody with you?" David answered, "The king has asked me to do something special." He said to me, "Do not tell anyone where I've sent you. Do not say what I've told you to do." So I've sent my soldiers to wait for me at a certain place. Do you have anything to eat here? Give me 5 loaves of bread or anything else that you have. The priest answered David, "I do not have any ordinary bread that I can give to you. There's only the special holy bread. You can take it for your men to eat only if they have not had sex with women." David replied, "We've not been near women since we left our homes. The young men always keep themselves clean, even on ordinary journeys. So for today's important journey, they will certainly be clean." That's a whole lot of detail you're giving. So the priest gave the holy bread to David because he did not have any other bread. This was the bread which had been on the table in the Lord's tent. The priest would take it from there each day, and he would put hot, fresh bread in its place. One of Saul's servants was there that day. His name was Doeg. He came from Edom. He was the leader of Saul's shepherds. He was staying in Nob to make offerings to the Lord. David asked the priest Ahimelech, "Is there any sword or spear here that I could take? The king sent me quickly to do an important job, so I left home without my sword or any other weapon." Ahimelech answered, "The sword of Goliath the Philistine is here. After you killed him in the valley of Elah, we kept the sword here. We covered it with a cloth and we put it behind the ephod. If you want it, you can take it. We do not have any other weapon except that one." David said, "Give it to me. There's no sword as good as that one." So notice again, Bible readers, um, it looks like the tabernacle is in Nob, evidently. So Bible readers, that's a Bible study question because it's been in Shiloh. There's been all types of places where the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant has been. So hopefully everybody's following that track of where the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant has been. Looks like there's a traveling journey there. David goes to Gath. So on that day, David escaped from Saul. He went to Gath and he visited King Achish there. The servants of the king Achish said to him, "This man is David, the king of his country." The people, this man is David, the king of his country. He's not king yet. The people sing this song about him when they dance. Saul has killed thousands of enemies, but David has killed tens of thousands of enemies. David thought carefully about what King Achish's servants were saying. What's the proper way to pronounce that? King Achish's servants were saying. It caused him to be very afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So when David was with them, he pretended to be crazy. He made marks with his fingers on the doors of the city gate. He let water run out of his mouth and go down his beard. King Achish said to his servants, "Look at this man. He's completely crazy. Why did you bring him to me? I have enough fools around me already. I don't need this crazy man as well. Keep him away from my house." First Samuel chapter 22, David at Adullam and Mizpah. Then David left Gath and he went to a cave near Adullam. His brothers and his father's family discovered where he had gone. So they all went to visit him. Everybody who had trouble went to stay with David. People who had debts and those who were angry also went to him. About 400 men went to be with David, and he became their leader. David then went to Mizpah, a town in the land of Moab. David said to the king of Moab, "Please let my father and my mother stay with you for a short time. I need to learn what God will do to help me." So David left his parents to stay with the king of Moab. They stayed with the king all the time that David was hiding near there. So was Saul after his family also? Interesting. The prophet Gad said to David, "Do not stay and hide here. Go to the land of Judah." So David left his safe place and he went to Hereth Forest. Saul kills Ahimelech's family at Nob. Oh, so apparently David's family was in serious trouble if they killed the priest family. Jesus. One day Saul was on the hill near Gibeah. He was sitting under a tamarisk tree. He was holding a spear. All his officers stood around him. Then someone told Saul that they knew where David and his men were hiding. Saul said to his officers, "Listen to me, you men of Benjamin's tribe. Do you really think that this son of Jesse will give fields and vineyards to all of you? Will he make you all officers and leaders in his army? No. So why are you trying to deceive me? None of you told me when my own son promised to be a friend of this son of Jesse. You do not feel sorry for me. Now as my son is helping one of our own servants to attack me. Yes, he's waiting for his chance to kill me. Doeg, the man from Edom, was standing there with Saul's officer. Excuse me. He said, I saw that son of Jesse when he came to Nob town. Oh, they won't even call David by his name, son of Jesse. He visited Ahutub's son, Ahimelech. Ahimelech asked the Lord what David should do. Then he gave him some food and the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, to David. Then King Saul told his men to fetch Ahitub's son, Ahimelech the priest. They also brought all his father's family who were priests at Nob, and they all came to the king. Saul said to Ahimelech, listen to me, son of Ahitub. Ahimelech answered, I'm listening, my king. Saul said to him, you and this son of Jesse have been trying to kill me. You gave him bread and a sword. You prayed to God on his behalf. Now at this moment, he's waiting for his chance to kill me. Ahimelech answered the king, David is the most faithful servant that you have. He's your daughter's husband. Man, you shouldn't be talking to Saul like that. He is the captain of the soldiers who keep you safe. Everyone in your house respects him. Oh, goodness, Ahimelech. Dumb. I often prayed to God on David's behalf. This was not the first time. King Saul, do not say that my family or I've done anything wrong. I don't know anything about what has happened. Oh, my goodness. But King Saul said to Ahimelech, you must die together with all your family. Why did you run your mouth like that to the king? Then the king said to the guards who were near him, now kill the Lord's priests. They've been helping David. They knew that he was running away from me, but they did not tell me. But the king's officers refused to hurt the Lord's priests. So the king said to Doeg, you must kill the priests. So Doeg, the man from Edom, Edomite, oh, devilish Edomite, killed the priests that same day. He killed 85 priests who wore linen ephods. He also killed all the people in Nob, which was the town where the priests lived. He killed the men and the women, the children and babies. He also killed the cows, donkeys, and sheep. Got to watch those Edomites. But one man called Abiathar escaped. He was one of Ahimelech's sons. Abiathar ran away to see David. Abiathar told David that Saul had killed the Lord's priests. David said to him, when I went to see your father at Nob, Doeg was there too. I knew that he would tell Saul about me. So I've caused the death of everybody in your father's family. Please stay here with me. Do not be afraid. Saul wants to kill you, and he wants to kill me too. You'll be safe with me. First Doeg, the Edomite. 1 Samuel 23, David saves Keilah town. The Philistines were attacking the town of Keilah. They were taking away the grain that the people had brought from their fields. Someone told David about this, so David asked the Lord, should I go and attack those Philistines? The Lord answered him, go and attack the Philistines, save Keilah town. But David's men said to him, we're afraid that when we are here in Judah, if we go to attack the Philistine army at Keilah, we will be even in more danger. So David asked the Lord again. The Lord answered again, go to Keilah. I will put the Philistines under your power. So David and his men went to Keilah. They fought against the Philistines and they killed many of them. Also, they took away their animals, and that way David saved the people who lived in Keilah. When Ahimelech's son Abiathar had run away, he had come to David at Keilah, and he had brought the priest's ephod with him. David escapes from Saul again. Someone told Saul that David was now at Keilah. Saul said, God has now put David under my power. David has gone into a town that has high walls and strong gates. He'll not be able to leave that place. So Saul called his army to join him. They prepared to go to Keilah to attack David and his men. Somebody told David that Saul was preparing to attack him. David said to Abiathar the priest, bring the ephod here. David prayed, Lord, Israel's God, I'm your servant. I've heard the news that Saul is preparing to attack Keilah. He wants to destroy this town because I am here. Will the leaders in Keilah give me to Saul? Will Saul really come here, as I've heard that he will? Lord, Israel's God, please tell me what will happen. The Lord said, Saul will come. David asked the Lord again, will the leaders in Keilah give me and my men to Saul? The Lord said, they will do that. So David and his 600 men left Keilah. They moved around to stay in different places. People told Saul that David had escaped from Keilah, so Saul decided that he would not go there. David stayed in places where he would be safe. They were in the desert and in the hill country of Ziph. Saul always tried to find David, but God did not let Saul catch David. David was at Horesh in the Ziph desert. He heard news that Saul was coming there to kill him. Saul's son Jonathan went to visit David at Horesh. He told David to be brave because God would keep him safe. Jonathan said to David, do not be afraid. My father will never be able to hurt you. You will be the next king to rule over Israel. I will be your most important officer. My father Saul knows that that's true. Jonathan and David promised again in the Lord's name that they would be faithful friends of one another. Then Jonathan went to his home. David stayed at Horesh. Some people from Ziph went to visit Saul at Gibeah. They said to Saul, David is hiding among our people. He's on Hakilah Hill, south of Jeshimon. He's hiding in the Horesh Hills. Now, King Saul, we know that you want to catch David, so you can come to our land at any time. We will help you to catch him. Saul replied, I asked the Lord to bless you because you've been kind to me. Do a bit more to help me now. Make sure that you know where he is. Find the people who've seen him there. I've heard that David is very clever. Find all the places where he hides. When you know all about him, come back and tell me. Then I will come with you. If he's still in that region, I'll surely find him. I'll look through all the land of Judah, and I will catch him. So the people returned to Ziph before Saul himself went there. David and his men were in the mountain desert. This was south of Jeshimon in the Jordan Valley. Saul and his men started to look for David, but David heard about this. So he and his men went to hide at a great rock in the Mon Desert. When Saul heard about this, he and his men went into the Mon Desert to find David. Saul and his men were going along one side of the mountain. David and his men were on the other side of the mountain. They're moving quickly to escape from Saul. Saul and his men were getting very near to David and his men. They would soon catch them. But then a man arrived with a message for Saul. He said to Saul, come quickly, the Philistines are attacking our land. So Saul stopped chasing after David. Instead, he went to fight against the Philistines. So people call that place the rock where they escaped. That's a sermon, you all. Those of you that are preachers and evangelists, that's a sermon. The rock where they escaped. I escaped at the rock. David left that place. He went to hide in the safe places at En Gedi. 1 Samuel chapter 24. David refuses to kill Saul. When Saul had finished fighting against the Philistines, he returned to his home. Someone told him that David was in the desert at En Gedi. So Saul chose 3,000 of the best soldiers in Israel. They went to look for David and his men near Wild Goat Rocks. Saul came near the place, near the road where the shepherds keep their sheep. There was a cave near to this place. Saul went in there to use it as a toilet. David and his men were hiding at the back of the same cave. David's men said to him, this is the day that the Lord told you about. The Lord said to you, I'll give your enemy to you. Then you can decide what is the right thing to do to him. So David stood up very quietly. He went and he cut off a small piece of cloth from Saul's coat. Saul didn't know what had happened. After that, David thought that he had done something wrong. He felt sorry that he had cut a piece of cloth from Saul's coat. David said to his men, I asked the Lord to stop me from doing anything wrong to my master. The Lord has chosen him to be Israel's king. I must never do anything to hurt him. He's the king that the Lord has chosen. David spoke like this to stop his men from attacking Saul. Then Saul left the cave and he started to travel along the road. After that, David went out of the cave. He shouted to Saul, my master and my king. Saul looked behind him. David went down on his knees with his face on the ground to respect the king. David said to Saul, you should not listen to the people who say David wants to hurt you. Oh, so that I was wondering where Saul was getting that from, that David's trying to kill him. You better watch the people around you. Watch them, Saul. Those people are lying to you. They're lying on David. You better watch it. So David said, you should not listen to the people who say David wants to hurt you. You can see that the Lord has kept you safe today when I had a chance to hurt you in the cave. Some of my men wanted me to kill you, but I did not agree. I said, I will not hurt my master because the Lord has chosen him to be king. My father, look at what I have in my hand. It's a small piece of your coat. I cut off this corner of your coat, but I did not kill you. So you must know that I do not want to do anything bad against you. I'm not turned against you. I'm not guilty of anything, but you're chasing after me so that you can kill me. The Lord is the judge who will decide which of us is guilty. I pray that he will punish you for what you're doing to me. You saying that to the king? Wait a minute. Am I reading that right? I pray that he will punish you for what you're doing to me. Ooh, I never read it like that before. But I myself will never do anything to hurt you. You know the proverb, evil people do evil things, but I will never try to hurt you. You're Israel's king. So why are you chasing after someone like me? I'm less important than a dead dog or a little fly. The Lord will be the judge to decide who is right. I pray that he will see I'm not guilty. I pray that he'll save me from your power. When David stopped speaking, Saul said, is that really you, David, my son? Then Saul started to weep loudly. He said to David, You're a better man than I am. You've been kind to me, even when I tried to hurt. Quit acting, Saul. Now you know you just acting. You don't mean that. You've shown me today how kind you've been to me. The Lord gave you a chance to hurt me, but you did not kill me. If someone catches his enemy, he does not let him escape. But you've not tried to hurt me today. So I ask that the Lord will bless you in return. I know that you'll be king of Israel one day. The kingdom will be strong when you rule. So promise me in the Lord's name that you'll not try to kill any of my descendants. Please make sure that the people do not forget my family's name. So David made a strong promise to Saul, and Saul returned to his home, but David and his men went back to the place where they had been hiding. 1 Samuel chapter 25, Samuel dies. Then Samuel died. All the Israelites met together and they were very sad. And they buried Samuel at his home in Ramah. David went down to the Paran desert. Nabal insults David. There was a very rich man who lived in Maon. His name was Nabal. He was a descendant of Caleb. His wife's name was Abigail. She was wise and beautiful. But Nabal was a cruel man who did evil things. Nabal had some land near Carmel. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. He was with his men in Carmel as they cut the wool from his sheep. While David was in the desert, he heard that Nabal was cutting the wool from his sheep. So David sent 10 young men to meet with Nabal. He said to them, "Go to Carmel and find Nabal. Tell him that David says hello, and give him this message. We hope that you and your family are well. We hope that everything you have is doing well. David has heard that you're now cutting the wool from your sheep. When your shepherds were with us near Carmel, we did not hurt them. We did not take anything from them. Your servants will tell you that if you ask them. Now we come to you at this special holiday time. So please be kind to the young men that David has sent to see you. They're your servants as well. They are your servants as well as his servants. Please give any extra food that you have to these young men and to your good friend David." David's men went to Carmel. They gave David's message to Nabal. They waited for Nabal to reply. Nabal answered David's young men, "Who is this David? Do I know this son of Jesse?" Many servants run away from their masters these days. I have food and drink for the men who are cutting wool from my sheep. I'll cook meat for them to eat, but I'll not give you anything. You might have come from somewhere. You might have come from anywhere. David's young men left Nabal. They returned to David and they told him everything that Nabal said. David said to his men, "Tie your swords onto your belts." So they all did that. David put his sword on his belt too. About 400 men went with him and 200 stayed at their camp. One of Nabal's servants spoke to Nabal's wife, Abigail. He said to her, "David sent some of his men from the desert to say hello to our master, but our master has insulted him. David's men have been very kind to us. When we were with them in the fields, they didn't hurt us. They didn't take anything from us the whole time we were there. They kept us safe while we took care of Nabal's sheep. They kept us safe all the time during the day and at night. So please think carefully about this. Decide what you can do. If you do nothing, there will be great trouble for our master and all his family and servants. He's such a wicked man that he won't listen to anyone." Abigail quickly got some food. She got 200 loaves of bread, 2 leather bags of wine, 5 sheep that she had cooked, and 5 jars of grain that she had cooked. She also got 100 blocks of raisins and 200 blocks of dried figs. She put all these things on some donkeys, and she said to her servants, "You go first and I'll follow you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal what she was doing. Abigail rode her donkey along the path beside the mountain, and she saw David and his men as they were coming towards her. So they all met each other. David had just said to his men, "I kept Nabal's sheep and all his things safe in the desert. We didn't take anything from him, but that has not helped us. I was kind to him, but he's done an evil thing to me in return. I pray that God will punish me if I don't kill all the men in Nabal's family by tomorrow morning." When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and she bent her body low on the ground to respect David. She lay down at his feet. She said to David, "My master, I'm the one who is guilty. I'm your servant. Please let me say something and please listen to me. Please, sir, do not think about that wicked man Nabal. His name means fool, and he really is a fool. But as for me, I didn't see the young men that you sent. I know this as surely as the Lord lives and surely as you live. The Lord has stopped you from killing anyone today. You could have done that, but he's not let you do it. I pray that God will punish all your enemies in the same way he'll punish Nabal. My master, please accept these gifts that I brought for you and for your men. I'm your servant. Please forgive me for any sin. I know that the Lord will always choose someone from your family to be Israel's king. The Lord will do that because you fight battles on his behalf. I pray that you will not do any evil thing in your whole life. People may chase after you and try to kill you, but the Lord your God will always keep you safe. He'll throw your enemies away like someone who throws a stone from his sling. The Lord will surely do for you all the good things that he's promised to do. He'll make you the ruler of the Israelites. When that happens, you'll not feel sorry for something bad that you might have done today. You could have killed people today for no good reason. You could have punished these people for yourself. So please remember when the Lord has helped you to rule as king. David said to Abigail, I praise the Lord, Israel's God. He has sent you to meet me here today. I thank you for your wisdom. May the Lord bless you because of what you've done to help me. You stopped me from killing people today. I would have punished these people myself, but the Lord has not let me hurt you. As surely as the Lord, Israel's God lives, I would have killed all the men in Nabal's family before dawn. But you came quickly to meet me. David accepted Abigail's gifts that she had brought with her. He said to her, go back to your home and do not be afraid. I've listened to what you said, and I'll do what you've asked for. Nabal dies. Abigail returned to her husband Nabal. He was eating a big feast with people in his house. It was as good as a king's feast. Nabal was happy and drunk. So Abigail did not tell him anything until the next morning. The next morning, Nabal was no longer drunk. So Abigail told him about everything that she had done. Nabal's heart failed. His body became like a stone. About 10 days after that, the Lord caused Nabal to die. David heard the news that Nabal had died. He said, I praise the Lord. He's shown that I was right. Nabal insulted me, but the Lord has punished him for that. Now, how can he say the Lord has punished him? Because everybody's going to die one day. It's appointed unto man once to die, but after that, the judgment. So how is that God punishing him? Because everybody's going to die. Bible study question. The Lord stopped me from doing an evil thing. Now he's punished Nabal for the evil thing that he did. Then David sent a message to Abigail to ask her to marry him. David's servants went to Carmel. They said to Abigail, David has sent us to you. We must take you back with us to become his wife. Abigail bent her body low so that her face touched the ground. She said, I'm happy to be David's servant. I'm ready to wash the feet of his servants. Abigail quickly prepared her donkey to go with David's men. She took with her 5 young girls to be her servants. What does she need servants for? Abigail went to David and she became his wife. David had already married a Ahinoam from Jezreel town. So these 2 women became his wives. Saul's daughter, Michal, had been David's wife, but Saul had then given her to Palti as his wife. Palti was the son of Laish, who came from Gilam town. Interesting, but still seems like a hot mess. 1 Samuel 26, David again refuses to kill Saul. Some men from Ziph went to visit Saul at Gibeah. They said to him, David's hiding on Achilles Hill, which is across the valley from Jeshimon. Isn't that where y'all left each other off at the last time? So Saul went to the desert of Ziph to look for David. He took 3,000 strong Israelite soldiers with him. Saul and his men arrived at Achilles Hill near Jeshimon, where David was hiding. They put up their tents beside the road. David heard the news that Saul had followed him into the desert. So David sent some men to see if that was true. They discovered that Saul had arrived at Achilles. One night, David went secretly to Saul's camp. Saul was asleep in the middle of the tents. The leader of his army, Ner's son Abner, was with him. He was asleep too. The army was all around them. David could see all this. David spoke to 2 of his men. One of them was Ahimelech, a Hittite man. The other was Abishai, who was Joab's brother. Zeruiah was their mother. David asked them, which one of you will go down into Saul's camp with me? Abishai said, I'll come with you. So David and Abishai went among Saul's army that night. They saw that Saul was asleep in the middle of the camp. He had pushed his spear into the ground near his head. Abner and the army were asleep around Saul. Abishai said to David, tonight God has given your enemy into your power. I'll push Saul's spear through his body and fix him to the ground. I only have to do it once to kill him. I will not need to do it again. But David said to Abishai, do not kill Saul. He's the man that the Lord has chosen to be Israel's king. Anyone who attacks him will be guilty of a sin. I know that the Lord himself will kill Saul one day. Saul may die when he's reached the age to die, or someone might kill him in battle. First of all, y'all are talking too much. All these people are asleep around you, and you're having these big, long King James Version sentences. Just say, no, I'm not going to kill him, and leave it at that. He will certainly come to his end, but I asked the Lord to stop me from hurting him because he's the Lord's chosen king. Take the spear and the jar of water that are near Saul's head. We must leave here now. So David took the spear and the jar of water from beside Saul's head. Then they left. Nobody saw them. Nobody knew that they had been in the camp. Nobody woke up. Saul's soldiers continued to sleep because the Lord had caused it to happen. David and Abishai then went across the valley to the other side of the hill. David stood on the top of the hill. He was far away from Saul's soldiers. David shouted to Saul's army and to Ner's son Abner, Abner, wake up, answer me. Abner replied, who's shouting to wake up the king? Who are you? David said to Abner, "Are you really the bravest soldier in Israel? You should have kept the king safe. Someone came into your camp to kill your master. You've not done your job well. You and your men have not protected your master, who is the Lord's chosen king. As surely as the Lord lives, you all deserve to die. The king's spear and his water pot were beside his head. Look where they are now." Saul recognized David's voice. He said, "Is that you, David, my son?" David answered, "Yes, my master and my king. It is my voice that you can hear." David also said, "Why are you chasing after me, my master? What have I done that is wrong? Why am I guilty? My master, my king, please listen to me. Has the Lord made you angry with me? If that is true, a sacrifice to him may change his thoughts. But if men have made you turn against me, I ask the Lord to curse them. They have chased me out of the land that belongs to the Lord's people. They've said to me, 'Go away and worship other gods.' Do not let me die a long way away from the Lord's home. You are the king of Israel, and I'm like a small fly, but you're trying to catch me. You're like someone who's looking for a wild bird in the mountains." Then Saul said to David, "I've done a bad thing. Return home, David, my son. You chose not to kill me today because you knew the value of my life. So I will not hurt you again. I've done foolish things. I've made a big mistake." David said, "Here is your own spear. Send one of your young men here to fetch it for you. The Lord wants everyone to do what is right and true. He blesses people who live like that. The Lord put you under my power today, but I would not agree to hurt the Lord's chosen king. Today I knew that your life is valuable. In the same way, I pray that the Lord will know that my life is valuable. I pray that he will keep me safe through all danger." Are you all really giving each other all these big, long King James sentences to each other and trying to kill each other? Then Saul said to David, "I pray that the Lord will bless you, my son. I know that you will do great things." So David left there and Saul returned to his home. Please put these words in the comment section. This is the word of the Lord. Follow, like, and subscribe. Hit that arrow at the bottom of the screen and share this video. Shall we pray? Gracious Father, as we come before you today, we see in our text David acting crazy and David actually dealing with some crazy people. He dealt with Nabal, who had issues. He dealt with Saul, who had issues. And God, I thank you that you have given us an example that when we deal with people where we are unjustly accused and unjustly attacked, you watch over us. For in the text, we learn that David said about men that had spoken into Saul's mind, this mindset that David was out to kill him. And that was the furthest thing from David's mind. And even though he tried to prove himself over and over and over and over again, that spirit was just in Saul's mind and in his advisors. So, Father, I pray for everybody today that may be dealing with this in their jobs, in their professional life, family, church, wherever. I pray, God, that you would watch over the character and the reputation of the saints. Our reputation, what people think of us, let it be godly, let it be full of character. And then our character, who we are, let us actually have a heart like David, who had the opportunity to kill Saul. He could have killed him immediately and became the next king. But even like Abigail, we have some questions about Abigail, but even as Abigail advised him, don't do this foolish thing because God is going to bless you. God, don't let us do or say anything foolish. Don't let us say, do, or think anything foolish. But God, we pray that you would help us in our today so that we don't forfeit what you're going to do tomorrow. And we give you praise and glory in Jesus' name. And all the people of God said, amen, and put in the comment section, this is the word of the Lord.